Little Cars. In 2006, Pixar rolled out Cars, a polished animated spectacle that turned Lightning McQueen and Radiator Springs into cultural icons. But halfway across the globe, Brazilian studio Video Brinquedo was preparing their infamous counterattack, the Little Cars. Released directly to DVD, it existed for one reason: to trick parents. At a glance, the cover looked close enough to Pixar's smash hit that unsuspecting buyers might not notice. Once played, however, the truth was obvious. The animation looked like a broken computer program, the cars barely moved, and the voices droned without emotion. While Disney and Pixar raked in millions and built a franchise empire, The Little Cars was mocked as one of the worst copycats ever made. It wasn't just a flop, it became a running joke in animation circles, cementing Video Brinquedo's reputation as the kings of cheap, soulless knockoffs. An Ant's Life. The year 1998 saw an unusual box office rivalry. Pixar's A Bug's Life and DreamWorks' Ants, two competing bug-themed adventures. But lurking beneath them was Good Times Entertainment, a studio notorious for knockoffs with An Ant's Life. Borrowing a name suspiciously close to both blockbusters, it fooled some parents into thinking it was connected. But its animation looked crude, with stiff movements and bland designs that resembled low-budget TV cartoons. The story lacked humor, heart, or any sense of wonder, making it a slog to watch. While A Bug's Life and Ants both found success, An Ant's Life scurried straight into bargain bins. It never stood out except as a cynical ploy, and today it survives only as a reminder of how far some studios will go to cash in on someone else's success. The Frog Prince. Disney's The Princess and the Frog marked a bold revival of hand-drawn animation in 2009, filled with jazz, magic, and the heart of New Orleans. Riding its coattails, Golden Films released The Frog Prince around the same time. Unlike Disney's lush visuals and memorable songs, Golden's effort looked like a forgotten Saturday morning cartoon from decades earlier. Characters were clumsy, the story rushed, and the dialogue soulless. It had no spark of originality, relying instead on a familiar fairy tale name to lure in parents shopping for cheap DVDs. Disney's film earned critical praise and cemented Tiana as a beloved princess, while The Frog Prince was instantly forgotten. It wasn't just overshadowed, it was drowned. A lifeless disaster that proved imitation without craft can't compete with Disney magic. Simba, the King Lion. When Disney unleashed The Lion King in 1994, it became an instant cultural juggernaut, blending Shakespearean tragedy with African landscapes and unforgettable music. That same year, Italy's Mondo TV tried to steal some thunder with Simba, the King Lion. At first glance, the name alone could confuse audiences, but once the film rolled, the illusion collapsed. The animation looked cheap and unfinished, characters lacked personality, and the story was hollow. Unlike Disney's sweeping epic of identity and loss, this version felt like a lifeless Saturday cartoon stretched into a feature. The Lion King became Disney's crown jewel, inspiring sequels, musicals, and a billion-dollar empire. Simba, the King Lion, meanwhile, vanished into obscurity, remembered only as a hollow ripoff that never stood a chance. Aladdin. Disney's Aladdin in 1992 was a dazzling mix of Broadway spectacle and heartfelt storytelling, boosted by Robin Williams' iconic genie. That same year, Good Times Entertainment tried to ride the wave with their own Aladdin. Because the tale was public domain, they legally could, but quality was another matter. Their version was poorly animated with flat colors, stilted movements, and characters who looked more like stock sketches than heroes. Songs were unmemorable, the pacing dragged, and there was none of the humor or heart that made Disney's films soar. Parents often picked it up by accident, mistaking it for Disney's masterpiece. But while Disney's Aladdin became a box office triumph and an enduring classic, Good Times Aladdin was laughed off as a weak, soulless imitation destined for the bargain bin. Tarzan. When Disney released Tarzan in 1999, it wasn't just another animated movie, it was a visual revolution. With its innovative deep canvas technology and a Grammy-winning Phil Collins soundtrack, it swung to both commercial and critical success. But of course, Good Times Entertainment had their own Tarzan, a pale shadow designed to confuse buyers. While both were based on Edgar Rice Burroughs' novel, the timing was no coincidence. The Good Times version lacked everything Disney's had: fluid animation, emotional storytelling, and memorable characters. Instead, it looked cheap, sounded worse, and offered nothing new. Disney's Tarzan became beloved for its artistry, while Good Times' ripoff went straight to bargain shelves, another failed attempt in the studio's long line of disasters. Leo the Lion. More than a decade after Disney's The Lion King set the gold standard for animated animal dramas, Italian producers attempted their own spin with Leo the Lion in 2005. Instead of a noble young lion grappling with destiny, audiences got a vegetarian lion who refused to eat meat. The bizarre premise alone doomed it, but the execution was even worse. The animation looked dated, with jerky movements and lifeless backgrounds, and the plot wandered without purpose. Characters were thinly written and unlikable, leaving the film feeling both strange and tedious. Disney's The Lion King became a timeless classic celebrated across generations, while Leo the Lion went down in history as one of the strangest, most ridiculed ripoffs ever created. A disaster so baffling it's more meme than movie today. Hercules. Disney's Hercules hit theaters in 1997 with a fresh take on Greek mythology, blending bold animation, humor, and a gospel-inspired soundtrack that gave it unique style. The same year, Good Times Entertainment dropped their own Hercules. Though based on the same myths, this version clearly existed to trick buyers riding Disney's hype. Unlike Disney's witty and colorful film, Good Times' version was slow, stiffly drawn, and lifeless. Characters lacked charm, the story dragged, and nothing stood out except how boring it was. Disney's Hercules became a cult favorite with memorable songs and striking visuals, while Good Times' knockoff vanished almost immediately. It was a cheap disaster that proved once again the studio's formula: cash in fast, flop even faster.